What even is the plot to Sonic Adventure 2? Well, after being defeated, and defeated, and defeated, and defeated, and defeated, and defeated, and defeated, Dr. Eggman thinks to himself, what would my evil grandpa do? He remembers that the government once seized his grandfather's work because it was apparently super dangerous. So he decides to break into a government facility to see just how dangerous it is. Very secure. Oh, that's a conveniently placed missile. Eggman finds the government's secret weapon, a loaf of bread. No wait, that's not it. He puts in his grandpa's password for all of his evil stuff. Maria. No caps, no special characters. Okay, boomer. It also turns out that Eggman has himself a shiny Chaos Emerald, which opens the door to the government's big secret, a hedgehog. Eggman's gotta be like, why? Who put the hedgehog curse on my family? But this introduces Shadow, the edgier and raspier voiced hedgehog, who, forgetting the difference between hedgehogs and genies, offers to grant Eggman one wish. But they're interrupted by the government bringing in the big guns, which probably should have been there the whole time. And Shadow says,
behold the true power I possess.
Disclaimer, hover boots are extremely dangerous.
Shadow defeats Hotshot and says to grant that wish he mentioned, Eggman needs to bring more Chaos Emeralds to the defunct space colony Ark. See, that's how they get you. This is definitely a Ponzi scheme. So the bad guys are off to a pretty good start. Fortunately for our heroes, Guardian Units of Nations, aka Gun, is on the case and captures the fugitive hedgehog. Unfortunately, it was the Colorblind Battalion and they actually captured Sonic. Sonic breaks out of the helicopter and the ska music intensifies. Sonic runs for his life and escapes the city of San Francisco. And with those rent prices, can you blame him? Meanwhile, Shadow robs a bank. I'm a little disappointed we learned this through a cutscene, because that would have been one hell of an opening level for Shadow. But instead, Eggman finds out about it while watching TV at his secret base, which doubles as a secret butt-scratching place. The news says the only thing stolen was a Chaos Emerald, and that everyone thinks it was Sonic. Because apparently all hedgehogs look the same? Shadow's coming down from that bank heist high on top of the Golden Gate Bridge and having a flashback about Maria. Remember her? The password? She's either dying or in severe back pain and says,
Shadow, I beg of you, please do it for me.
Maria!
For all the people on that planet.
And he vows to keep his promise to Maria.
For the people of this planet, I promise you. Revenge!
I don't think that's what she meant. Sonic's still fighting off Gun when Shadow arrives and waxes poetically about his Chaos Emerald. Sonic realizes the government has confused him for Shadow, and Shadow nopes out of there using
Chaos Control!
But not before decreeing himself the ultimate life form. Weird flex, but okay. The military surrounds Sonic and puts him in prison. Well, that's depressing. Let's take a break from that and catch up with Knuckles. He's having a standoff with newcomer and jewel hunter Rouge the Bat over who gets to keep the Master Emerald. I honestly don't know how the emerald got to this desert place. Like, did Rouge steal it? I'm only going off of what the game gives me, which really isn't much, so if any of y'all know for sure, or have a fun suggestion, put it in the comments. Anyway, while these two are flirt fighting, Eggman swoops in and claw games the Master Emerald. He was actually looking for the Chaos Emeralds, but decides this big chonker of a jewel might still be useful. But Knuckles is like, oh no, you don't, and decides he'd rather repeat his gameplay style from Sonic Adventure 1 than not be in the game, so he shatters the Master Emerald. Rouge watches Eggman fly off towards his very secret base inside a giant pyramid, and Knuckles and her race to collect the pieces of the Master Emerald. Oh, and she's a spy, and her mission is to break into Eggman's base and figure out what he's up to. She finds his space transporter and sees it's pointed at Ark, so she decides to go ahead and teleport up to a dead space colony. How about a little backstory on Ark? It was once the most advanced research center of its kind, but it was closed 50 years ago after a terrible accident. The government has kept what happened there pretty hush-hush. Eggman finds Shadow in the central control room of the Ark, who explains that the space colony wasn't just the setting for Wall-E, they were making weapons of mass destruction on this bad boy as well, including the Eclipse Cannon, a weapon powerful enough to blow up an entire planet. But to activate it, they, of course, need the 7 Chaos Emeralds. This is a Sonic game after all. Eggman's like, oh damn, my grandpa was into some freaky shit, but decides to go along with the plan. He doesn't really want to blow up the world, mind you, he just wants to be able to blow up the world. Basically,
Yes, I guess that way we have it.
That way you'll definitely have it.
Rouge has been listening in the whole time, and offers her jewel hunting skills. Oh, and she has a Chaos Emerald. And she knows where more are. Rouge is full of surprises. So, they plan a heist.
You son of a bitch! I'm in!
Rouge has to get into the vault on Prison Island to get the Chaos Emeralds. To do that, they need Eggman to make a distraction, by blowing it up. While the guards are distracted, Shadow will sneak into the armory to set some dynamite packs. Because, why not? Once Rouge has the Chaos Emeralds, they all will sneak out and blow the whole island up. Things don't go according to plan though, because that wouldn't be very fun, now would it? As they reach the prison, Amy Rose appears out of nowhere and starts to give Shadow that lovin' that's meant for Sonic. She quickly realizes he doesn't smell like Sonic, and sees Dr. Eggman as well. Eggman chases after Amy while Shadow and Rouge go ahead with the mission. Eggman corners Amy, but fortunately for her, Tails was flying in to break Sonic out of this high security prison. He's 8 years old. The hell. Anyway, we have our first BattleBots fight, and the winner is whoever you're playing as. Eggman runs off and Tails and Amy go to bust Sonic out of prison. Amy finds Sonic and tells him,
You mean that black hedgehog?
Did you see it? Where is it now?
If I tell ya, will you marry me?
well, that's problematic.
I thought I had you this time.
Sonic gets set free, and the sky intensifies! Meanwhile, Rouge is in the vault snagging the Chaos Emeralds. But she's discovered by Gun, and despite winning the fight, she gets herself locked in the vault. Shadow has a moral compass adjusting flashback and decides to go back to save her. But while he's running back in, he finds Sonic running out, and we get our first doppelganger battle, and that classic bit of overlapping dialogue.
You're comparing yourself to me? Ha! You're not even good enough
I'll
to
make
be
you eat
my
those
friend.
words!
And the winner is whoever you're playing as.
I'm the coolest.
Dude, chill. Sonic hears Eggman tell Shadow over the radio that the island is about to blow up. So Sonic starts dashing through the jungle to find Tails and Amy, while Shadow runs back to save Rouge. Shadow gets to the vault with seconds to spare and uses Chaos Control to warp both Rouge and him off the island as it explodes. Oh, and Sonic escapes too. During all that, Knuckles was getting spooky. Neat. Team Dark returns to the Ark with their 6 Chaos Emeralds. Shadow's having a flashback to his time with Maria. They both wondered what life would be like on Earth. Shadow explains that the professor was working for all the people on Earth to make them happy with science. Shadow, wishing he understood what he was created to do, wants to go to Earth, as he thinks he'll figure out his purpose there. Rouge shows up and nags Shadow for having empathy, but his edgelord quips get interrupted by Eggman, who says they're ready for their demonstration. They hijack all the TV screens in the world and put their most, camera-ready team member out there to tell the world that he's taking over the planet to create the Eggman Empire. And then they boot up the Eclipse Cannon and shoot the moon! Literally, thus causing ocean tides to go berserk, flooding the planet that he was planning to rule. Man of science, my ass. A timer starts. We have 24 hours before more vague bad stuff. Sonic, Tails, and Amy witness the incident, which honestly is pretty hard to miss. Unless you're on the other side of the planet, I guess. They realize they must be using the Chaos Emeralds to power the cannon, and Tails is holding the last one, which, based on the last game, is not a very good place to keep that thing. But we do know the Chaos Emeralds attract each other, so we can use them to track where Eggman is. The police show up to arrest the trio, because they are literally felons now, and Tails goes on a cop-killing rampage. Meanwhile, Knuckles was chilling to some lo-fi hip-hop beats to relax and study to. The next morning, our fugitive heroes are still on the lam. Tails realizes the emeralds must be in outer space, not because that's where the cannon is, but because he can't track them on this planet. Okay. And then Knuckles pops out of the sewer like a wet Oscar the Grouch. Apparently the lo-fi mines were connected to the sewer system. He was knuckles deep in poo water. Tails hacks into, and I quote, the government computer, like they only have one, and finds that the president is on the phone with Eggman. So Tails decides to chase after the president's limo so they can get inside and trace Eggman's call. The president is on a Zoom call with Eggman. Also, please take in this Windows 98 screenshot here. That's old. Eggman tells the president to surrender the whole country, or he's going to blow it up. And the president's like,
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
but then Sonic and Tails just barge into the limo, end the Zoom call, steal a floppy disk looking thing, and bail.
Come on, man.
Meanwhile, back on Ark, Eggman was not thrilled with the quality of his Zoom call. Shadow says the cannon won't be ready to fire at its scheduled time unless they get the last Chaos Emerald. Rouge shows up with a newspaper article saying that Station Square gave Tails their prized Chaos Emerald for saving them from Eggman's missile attack back in SA1. Nice tie-in. Eggman decides to go back to Earth, the planet, wherever they are, to find Sonic and Tails and take the emerald. Shadow mutters something about Maria, and they both leave. Rouge takes this moment alone to report to her superiors that she's yet to determine if Shadow is actually the ultimate life form or not. But no time for that, she's got to chase after Tails on the highway now, which for some reason means Shadow needs to grind some sick rails now. The heroes find themselves in the desert because Knuckles saw Eggman and Rouge go into the pyramid earlier.
We should be able to get into outer space from there.
You sure about that? Oh. The heroes break in, killing a few Gamma lookalikes, and sure enough, they can in fact go to space from here. But not before Knuckles has to fight a ghost, of course. You think King Boom Boo works for Eggman? Or does he just, live here? Squatters' rights and all that? Eggman sicks the egg golem on Sonic and the gang, but Sonic breaks it so bad that Eggman has to put it down himself.
No, Ma. Yeller's my dog. I'll do it.
Oh, come on.
Surprisingly, Eggman has a non-egg branded NASA-style spaceship just lying around, and the heroes head to space. But whoever's driving, you'd think it's Tails, but it's kind of implied that it's Sonic, hits a meteor. The cargo hatch opens, releasing all of Knuckles' Master Emerald pieces. There's a fight over the controls of the ship, and they crash into the station. Rouge is back on Ark, and having heard that Eggman let the heroes escape, says she's going to stop them herself, but she needs the password to the control room to do so. Eggman gives her the very top secret password,
Maria.
and she's successfully fooled the good doctor. She starts snooping the computer for information on Project Shadow. Hey, that ain't Shadow. Rouge is confused as to what exactly Shadow is, but then sees that the Master Emerald pieces are nearby and just quits caring and heads off to collect shinies. Knuckles is split from the hero party to go find emerald pieces as well. Rouge and Knuckles meet up and fight over who gets to have the Master Emerald. And the winner is whoever you're playing as! But after some angry banter, Rouge slips off the beam and is falling into a pit of lava, but Knuckles reaches out and saves her, even though she has wings and both their playstyles revolve around gliding. They argue some more, and Rouge decides to hand over her Master Emerald pieces. Knuckles restores it, Keister stashes it, and runs away. The rest of the heroes are inside the Ark, and Tails just happens to have a full blueprint of the Ark readily available. He says they can't destroy the cannon from the outside. They have to destroy it from the inside. Then he whips out the fake Chaos Emerald he just casually made after studying the real one.
It has the same wavelength and properties, but it's less powerful than the real one. It's designed to reverse the energy field inside the Chaos Emeralds and blow up. And blow up.
Why would you make that on a whim? That sounds incredibly dangerous. Tails comes up with a plan where Tails will blow up the power supply, and Sonic will put the fake Chaos Emerald into the machine. Let's see how that goes wrong, shall we? Well, Eggman was watching them from back in the Pyramid Base, and sees the energy readings from both the real and the fake Chaos Emerald. Realizing they're trying to sabotage their plan, Eggman heads to the Ark to deal with Sonic. Eggman finds Amy first, and forces her to tell him where Sonic and Tails are. He ambushes Tails and forces him to surrender to save Amy's life. Sonic rushes back to... He rushes... Sonic eventually makes his way back and attempts to give Eggman the fake emerald, in a very natural, not suspicious way at all.
You've turned into a big-time villain, Doctor.
But Eggman traps him in a Hulk cage.
You thought you could trade me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails!
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
And Eggman launches Sonic into space to friggin' die. This, understandably, pisses Tails off. He refuses to hand over the Chaos Emerald and fights Eggman in a duel that is way harder than any of the other character duels in the game. And the winner is... Tails! No matter what, Eggman loses this one. But Tails is still careless AF, just like he was in Sonic Adventure 1, and Eggman snags the Chaos Emerald that was left lying on the ground. As he's hurtling towards certain doom, Sonic remembers that the fake emerald he's holding is basically a Chaos Emerald still, and tries to do Shadow's signature move, Chaos Control. He pulls it off and warps himself into the base, conveniently where Knuckles was wandering around. He asks Knuckles to check in on Tails and Amy, and he goes to slam the fake Chaos Emerald into the cannon. Cut to Rouge in the control room, scheming to steal the 6 Chaos Emeralds. She's interrupted by Shadow.
Now I know who you are. You're that government spy, Rouge the Bat.
Well, no shit.
Rouge decides that if Shadow's gonna look up her internet history, she'll share some of his as well, telling him he's not the perfect life form created from Project Shadow. Their squabble is interrupted by Eggman, however, telling them that he's found the 7th Chaos Emerald, but that Sonic is trying to sabotage the cannon. He asks Shadow to get over there and stop Sonic before it's too late. Before Shadow can leave, though, Rouge tries to give him an existential crisis.
Do you actually believe that you're the real Shadow?
No doubt.
Even your memories might not be real, you know?
Even if my memories are not real, it's still me, Shadow.
And then both our hedgehog lookalikes start grinding.
Hey, phrasing!
Eggman puts the 7th Chaos Emerald into the cannon and prepares the fire. Shadow and Sonic meet outside the cannon, and Shadow wants to know how Sonic survived the capsule explosion. Sonic shows him the fake Chaos Emerald and says seeing Shadow use Chaos Control gave him the idea. Shadow can't believe that Sonic could perform Chaos Control, especially with a fake Chaos Emerald. This makes Rouge's words about not being the ultimate life form really hit hard. He's not the only one capable of such power, and he feels threatened. Sonic unknowingly brings Shadow down another peg by saying, "I'm just a hedgehog," implying so are you casual, and now they have to fight. Tails and Amy are still inside Ark, mourning the death of Sonic, and probably not sure how they're going to get home because they blew up their spaceship. When Sonic radios them to look out the window, our boy won the battle, and just as the Eclipse cannon is about to shoot, it blows up, courtesy of Sonic. But this also causes the space station to start hurling itself at Earth. The computers on Ark once again take over every screen on the planet somehow, this time showing an old video of Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, tied up in the same jail cell they kept Sonic in with the writing all over the walls. Don't they ever, wipe those things down? Anyway, these are Gerald's last words. A death sentence to the planet, as revenge for them taking everything away from him before he's executed. Damn, Sonic, you get heavy sometimes. Eggman joins the heroes in Rouge with a copy of his grandfather's diary in digital form. The diary explains that Gerald had been working on the ultimate life form, but the government became scared of his research and shut Ark down, killing all the researchers and Gerald's granddaughter, Maria. They claimed there was an accident that made them close the Ark, but it was really to hide the prototype from getting into the wrong hands. Gerald, being the sole survivor of the incident, became obsessed with revenge while finishing Project Shadow under the government's watch, thus setting the Ark to crash into Earth once the 7 Chaos Emeralds are installed in the space colony. There's more to this bit, but you don't find that out until Shadow the Hedgehog, and that's a video for another day. Even Eggman thinks,
That's too much, man.
After all, if he wants to rule a planet, there has to be, a planet. So everyone teams up to stop the space colony from crashing. Because it's being powered by the Chaos Emeralds, they realize that the Master Emerald, see, Knuckles totally keister stashed that thing, can nullify the power of the Chaos Emeralds. So they need to get the Master Emerald to the core of the space station. And the only way to do that is teamwork. Except Amy, you don't get a job. And Shadow, because he's cool with destroying the entire planet. It's all part of the revenge he promised Maria. Amy takes it upon herself to convince Shadow to help, and she triggers a forgotten memory in Shadow, showing that Maria didn't want him to kill everyone on Earth. She wanted him to help them be happy. She even goes as far as saying that that's what he was created for. So Shadow becomes a birthday clown and spent the rest of his days making children laugh and, he goes and helps everyone else. After riding a Kraft mac and cheese wave, Sonic arrives in the core with Knuckles close behind. There's a metal palm tree thing above what looks like the Master Emerald Shrine that harnesses the power of the Chaos Emeralds. They run for the shrine, but Gerald's got one more trick up his dead guy's sleeve, the Bio Lizard, the prototype ultimate life form. Shadow arrives and is ready to show who's the real ultimate life form. Shadow fights this asthmatic reptile that screams like a cougar for some reason. This thing seems pretty far from the ultimate life form, if you ask me. Knuckles and Sonic head for the shrine, and Knuckles says the Tikal thing, like from the last game, and it stops the Chaos Emeralds. But Nessie over here ain't having it, and the Bio Lizard shoves the space colony up its butt and keeps dragging it towards Earth. Sonic and Shadow know what time it is. Moon transformation! Thus begins the most epic final boss battle my young mind was ever able to bear witness to, in no small part to Crush 40 and Live and Learn. The super hedgehogs pop the laser lizard's boils.
Notice the technique here. They're not just pushing in, but they're also pushing down and in. This is the proper technique to really get the most pus out. Plus they're using gauze and they're wearing gloves. You do have to remove the sack, otherwise the cyst does come back, but this technique is 10 out of 10.
And it's defeated. That, however, isn't going to stop the space colony from crashing into the planet. The hedgehogs have to use all of their power together to chaos control the entire space station off its collision course. But it was too much for the ultimate life form, and Shadow falls to Earth. The world is grateful, this guy gets friend-zoned, and Sonic gives the team the sad news. The credits roll, and we get some really nice character moments. Sonic and Rouge talk about how no matter what Shadow was created for, he was good at heart and gave his life to save the planet. Eggman talks about how much he admired his grandfather, but now that he knows that he, wanted to murder a planet, he's struggling to reconcile with that. Tails is happy that all parties came together to save the world, and Eggman agrees, but warns next time he won't use anyone's help. He's going to take over the world all by himself. I'm sure you're going to do great, champ. Knuckles and Rouge talk about what's next for her. She wants to give up the Jewel Hunter business for something better. It sounds like she's hitting on Knuckles, but I don't think he understands. I kind of hope they explore this in the third Sonic movie, because a clueless about love Idris Elba sounds like comedy gold. Amy and Sonic don't talk about anything, really, but he does say,
"Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog,"
to close us out. The end. The big takeaway from this game is that Knuckles is the only person you play as that doesn't commit a felony. While everyone else is breaking into government facilities, evading arrest, or beating up the military, Knuckles was playing with pumpkins. Good guy Knuckles, y'all. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. This was such a fun game and story, and I hope you enjoyed me telling it at you. I'm hoping to make this a more regular thing for games with big plots, so if there are other games you want me to give the Binkle Monkey storytime treatment to, please let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, feel free to do the liking and the bell ringing stuff. And if you're really enjoying what we're doing, come join the Plaid Squad over on Discord and Patreon. But until next time, have a good one.